Hey everybody, what is going on? Welcome to the stream today. Today is going to be a fun one. I've been looking forward to doing a stream like this for a very long time. I've always wanted to sort of break down one of my sessions for my songs, and conveniently I got just released a new song. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the thing. I'm trying to figure out how to paste a link for you guys to go check the song out, but I don't think YouTube wants to let me paste links into the chat. Let's see. Let's see if I can figure out how to do this. There we go. I got it there. It wouldn't let me do it on my streaming software, but I had to kind of go in there and paste it there. So welcome everyone. So yeah, I just came out with the new song. It's called Never a Perfect Time. And go ahead and listen to it on all platforms. First of all, it's a great song. I think it's got a really important message that a lot of people need to hear. It's one of the reasons too why I've been a little bit less active on the channel the last few months, because I decided to sort of hunker down and focus most of my time and energy on trying to finish that song. Anybody who's ever recorded music knows it really takes a long time if you want to get it right. And also, by the way, that's one of the points of the song is that you can sit there working on something over and over and over for a super long time, and you'll never really be totally happy with it before you actually kind of end up releasing it. So, you need to sort of come up with a point where you're just going to call it and you're going to realize, hey, there's never a perfect time, and I'm just going to do the thing that I've been wanting to do. So it released just a few days ago, less than a week ago, on Friday, February 28th, available on all streaming platforms. And so I'm super excited to dive in, and we will listen to the song together. And I'm going to break down some of the different things that are going on so you can get an idea, those of you who maybe want to start getting into recording music or songwriting. Obviously, we're not going to be able to go through every single last thing because it would just take an incredibly long time. But I want to allow you guys the opportunity to ask some questions and just go through some things that I think are interesting, important about the song. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Okay, so this is the session here for the song. Now, one caveat I want to tell you guys about is that this is actually not the final mix that you hear on the actual recording that has been released. Reason being is because I didn't do the mix. I did, some preliminary mixing here and so on and so forth. But I sent it off to another mixing engineer. His name is Arafus. His name is Roman. I was trying to find his last name, but yeah, I couldn't find his last name anyway, but he did a fantastic job. He actually lives in Poland. And yeah, he did a fantastic job with it. I sent him all the audio tracks after I had done all the production side here. And he mixed it and made it sound a bit cleaner and just balanced and just made it sound really good. Mixing is something that I have started to get into the last couple of years. But as you could imagine, that's a whole can of worms to open up. And that's the reason why, well, there's people who that's all they do is they just mix songs, and they're a lot better at that than I am. So I just want to trust someone else to get the job done for me, or else I would never be able to freaking release this song because I never be able to trust myself to do a really good job mixing, at least not yet. So yeah, it sounds good here, but it doesn't quite sound as good as what you're going to hear on the streaming platforms and etc. where it's all released. So let's go ahead and let's just start listening to the song, and let's break down some of the stuff that's going on here. All right, so right off the bat, the song starts off with the intro. And by the way, you can see here, this is a cool thing that I never really used to use when I was making songs in Logic. And I finally started trying to use it now, is actually using the marker feature to mark off the different sections of the song. It can be really, really handy when you're recording and doing stuff like this, so you don't have to kind of guess around. So you can see here, this is the intro and the first verse is about to start. Now, the intro, it sounds, at first glance, it sounds like one guitar part that's happening. And, maybe in a different day we can get into exactly what the guitar part is. I'll just tell you right now, those of you who are guitar players and, are interested in it, the chord progression for most of the song is just C sharp minor to B major, back and forth over and over again. The intro here is a little bit different. It's C sharp minor to B over D sharp, and then to E major, back to B over D sharp. But anyway, so the intro is actually doubled up guitars. So if we solo them, it's the same part being played in the left speaker and in the right speaker. And actually, those of you who are familiar with the way DAWs work and stuff, you can see here that if you look in the lower left, these are the panning knobs. So I did actually maintain the panning and stuff that I had from my preliminary mixing when I sent it off to be mixed. Panning is a part of mixing, and I wanted certain things to be a certain way. So you got one, they're not hard panned. So hard pan would be like minus, I think it is like 64. Yeah, so I'm gonna undo that. But they're panned just a little bit. One guitar is in the left speaker and one guitar is in the right speaker, and it's really cool because it actually makes it sound like one guitar, but it just sounds a little bit more full like that. That's one thing, those of you getting into recording, I remember when I first start trying to record guitars, I'd always wonder, like, no matter what I did, why does it kind of sound like always thin, especially if you are recording straight into a DAW, even with a good plugins like Amplitude, by the way. Let me actually show you guys that too. I didn't record anything here with a real amp, actually, even though I have a whole real amp set up. But last year I picked up Amplitude 5 Max. I'm not sponsored by them. This channel is not big enough for them to care about sponsoring me. But it's really great, and that could be a whole entire separate video that I'll do at some point, is going over some of the cool stuff that you can do with Amplitude. But Amplitude, it's just nuts. It's like having everything in Guitar Center, like every amp and every pedal, like just in your computer. So it's just easier to do, and it's really easy as well. After you record a part, you can mess with the tones and stuff like that. So we're not going to get too into like the different tones. I want to focus more on the song and the arrangement side of things. But anyway, so all the sounds coming from Amplitude, and if you notice actually. It just sounds very full. It addresses that issue of guitars kind of sounding thin. I mean, if you think about it, you're plucking you're plucking like really thin metal strings in an electric guitar. So they need a lot of stuff to beef it up. You need a really good sound, through your amp setup or whatever it happens to be that you're using, your plugins. And then you also want to have these different tricks like doubling up guitars. It really thickens it up. Like if we check this out, let's listen to just one of them for a second and see what does that sound like. Now if I add the other one, so that's only the left speaker, all of a sudden it just makes a world of difference, right? Having those doubled up guitars. And I'm sure that there's a lot of examples too where guitars even get tripled and stuff. This is why it's also very important to be able to replicate takes more than one time, because you want to have that like exactly the same, pretty much. You're never going to be able to get it absolutely exactly the same. And that's another reason, by the way, why it actually sounds cool, because there's little micro differences between the left side and the right side, and they actually thicken things up. Whereas like if I just decided to, for example, copy paste the left guitar into the right speaker or something like that, it wouldn't have the same effect whatsoever. So anyway, let's move on. So you got the two guitars doubled up, and then also you got this little just lead guitar line with, as you can hear, quite a bit of delay on it and some reverb and stuff, and that's panned just right up the middle. So you get this kind of nice trio of, you got the lead line that's right up the middle, and then you got the two rhythm guitars kind of sandwiching that lead line in there. All right, so let's keep going. We're gonna get into the first verse here. Don't forget about what you think about yourself. You know that you've been waiting too long to care about. All right, so subtle thing here. This really adds, I think, to the production side of things when you're working on a song. You really want to have something changing pretty frequently in the arrangement. So you almost can't hear it at all. So it just sounds like basically the same thing is going on, right? This continuation of the doubled up rhythm guitars. Obviously, the lead guitar stopped. And then let me go to zoom this out here so you can see more. And then the lead vocal came in. By the way, just in case you were wondering, it took me a really long time to do the lead vocals. I don't consider myself a singer. I've definitely gotten a lot better at it. I've taken some lessons. And I've done like 300,000 bazillion takes like on every song that I release, and they're getting better. But yeah, I definitely had to use some pitch correction and stuff like that. But I try to get it absolutely as close as I possibly could before, kind of resorting to pitch correction or any kind of thing like that. But nowadays, it's just a reality. Like for the most part, it doesn't matter how good anyone is at singing, like they're getting pitch corrected in some way, shape, or form in a studio recording. But anyway, so you listen, a couple of things come in that are really almost imperceptible. And this is one thing I want to kind of communicate to you guys in this stream, is that to start thinking about some of that kind of stuff, like, is there something that I can add or even take away too? You don't always add stuff. You're going to notice that I took some stuff away. Actually, right off the bat here, check this out. This, I just left it in there, but this is a vocal counter line. And so I realized it was too much to have to have harmonies coming in right off the bat. I have a lot of vocal harmonies that thicken things up and just make them sound a lot more legit in the song. But I realized, hey, you know something? I think that it will hit way harder if I just get rid of the whole entire, have no harmonies, nothing right in the beginning. And then once this pre-chorus hits later, and once that vocal comes in, now it kind of goes, oh, okay, that's another thing that changed. Like I was talking about, you want things to be changing pretty frequently, even if they're very small things. So that's an example of where I actually took something out that was there. I had recorded a vocal line and I said, you know what? I got to get rid of that. That is part of the editing process. When you're working on a song like this, you got to get rid of stuff too. You don't just keep adding and adding. But anyway, check this out. So these two things come in here. This little like lead fill type of thing, which is, I mean, super quiet stuff that I'm playing with a lot of reverb. It's very sort of nebulous sounding. And then this little synth comes in. So now you hear now all of a sudden, it becomes a lot more obvious when I soloed it. You didn't hear that before. But now that little synth comes in. And it's just nice because now it kind of brings things up just a notch and it just adds a little bit more ambiance to what's going on there. And you notice, by the way, right after that, boom, it's gone into the pre-chorus. Take it out. I didn't just continue to leave it there the whole entire time. So that's stuff that, as I've thought about this kind of thing more when I'm working on music, it's helped my music just get a lot better by thinking like, gee, is there something like really small that I can just add in to the section that most people, like a normal person who's not a musician, and even I almost forget about this stuff when I listen to the song now, unless I'm looking at the session like this. But it's a more of a subconscious thing. It's felt, not heard. So you feel that synth coming in, but you don't really hear it. You feel these things coming in. And actually, let's just do a little experiment. What if I just took those two things out now? Let's see. What would it sound like? Forget about what you think of. Now it's kind of obvious when it's gone. Don't forget about, but now I add it back in. Think about yourself. You know. It just adds like this nice little cushion behind things. So I really like that. So then we keep going. We get up to the end of that first verse. We get into the pre-chorus. Always waiting for tomorrow, even though it's been. So, couple more things changed, right? What changed? Well, now we got rid of the synth. We got rid of that little fill thing. Actually, another sort of fill is going to come in. But now, finally, the bass came in. And by the way, you might think this is funny. First of all, look how many takes I did of bass. There's 18 takes. I mean, some of this stuff, there's a lot of takes and a lot of stuff that I'm not going to show you. But that's where the bass comes in. And this was, I had fake bass on it before, so I called this real bass. And I got a bass recently. I didn't even have a bass. And my wife bought me a bass, actually, for my birthday last year. And thank you, Christina, for getting that for me, because I put it on my song. And now my songs sound a lot better because I have real bass to play on them. I should have gotten myself a bass a long time ago, but alas, I didn't. So the bass comes in, and then boom, now some stuff gets taken out. So a couple new things come in, couple things come out. And then now this vocal counter line comes in. Waiting for tomorrow, even though it's minutes till your thoughts go. So, and then there's this little fill thing coming in here. Let's solo that. it's literally just me playing like one chord tone at a time. So like I told you, it's C sharp minor B coming back and forth. I'm just picking one note from a C sharp minor chord and one note from a B chord. I'm just going back and forth. And you got, you know, some kind of vibrato effect going on there. There's reverb, just kind of really washy guitar sound. But again, all these little things, they all kind of add up to create this vibe. And then let's solo the vocals really quick. So waiting for tomorrow, even though it's minutes till your thoughts go. So that's kind of like a little, it's a fourths harmony. Waiting for tomorrow. And actually, let me see some. Even though it's minutes till. Yeah, I didn't even realize this before, but I didn't think about it consciously. But actually, the vocal counterline is higher than the melody. So we'll be talking a little bit more about that because there's some more sophisticated sort of vocal stuff that comes in later. But when it comes to writing some vocal parts for your songs, a lot of times we think about writing harmonies that are underneath the vocal line, the lead vocal line that you're singing. However, especially for someone like me, I think, I have a pretty low voice. So, you know, I can get probably like to the A, that's like on the high E string and the guitar type of thing. I forget, that's like A4 or something like that. I can maybe get there depending on the day. But I definitely have more of like a tenor-ish like type of voice. And so a lot of times the melodies that I'm writing and singing are relatively low. And because of that, you don't necessarily always want to write another vocal line that's lower than that, because then it starts getting too muddy. I remember when I was in music school, in Gary Lindsay's class at the University of Miami, one thing he talks about is called low interval limits. And so certain intervals, when you start getting lower, really low, they start sounding a little too muddy and it just doesn't sound as good. So one thing that you can think of is writing actually some parts that are higher than the melody that you're actually singing, and that's fine. However, there's one thing that you do have to keep in mind, which is that all things being equal, like if I was playing a chord on piano or even playing a chord on guitar, let's see, I realize that I don't necessarily have the best setup right now to be playing guitar straight into here. Maybe I can use one of these inputs here. Yeah, something like, I'm gonna have to kind of deal with this. Actually, let me make sure I'm in tune here. I'm not planning on playing too much guitar, so my apologies for not being totally prepared for that. But I will throw in some stuff here and there where it's relevant. Okay, cool. So, yeah, like if I'm playing a chord on guitar, typically that highest note in the chord is what we perceive to be the melody note. Okay, so that's all I want to do. I know you couldn't even see what I was playing. That's okay. You don't need to see it. You just need to listen to it. So if like same thing in the piano, if you're playing a chord, whatever's the highest note in that chord, we're gonna perceive that for the most part to be the melody note. However, you can get around this a little bit when it comes to vocals, and you could do it on guitar. You could do it anywhere. If you want a note or a line to be perceived as a melody, we'll just make that louder than all the other parts. So in this case, the counter line, I mean, you can even see like it's like at minus 8.3 dB. You know, and we got this as I know that's not the only thing that, you know, goes into it, but the level's just lower, so now it sounds like a harmony. It still doesn't sound like you know, you can hear that lower part is actually still clearly the melody, is still clearly the lead vocal line. So anyway, let's go ahead and go get into the chorus. Say what you want to say before they pass. right, so now we're into the chorus. Obviously, the material changed a little bit, the melody changed a little bit, but some other different things changed as well. So we got yet another counter line that came in. So now we got actually 2 more vocal parts came in. So we have another vocal counter line that came in. By the way, there's some kind of stuff being played around with the automation here, but here actually this is mostly panned down the center, just a little bit off axis, just to create a little bit of separation. We got a -9 towards the left speaker on this track here, and then that second track is +9 the right speaker. Later on, things are gonna get a bit more hard panned, and then I add this little just ooh, which is super washy. You can barely hear. Say what you wanna say before they pass, 'cause memories are the only thing that lasts. Yeah, all the thoughts that are running through. And again, it's actually really not that crazy. Anything with the vocal parts, they're mainly just chord tones. So you know all the stuff that I teach actually on the channel about learning the triads and learning the chord tones and all this kind of stuff, even though it's always talking about soloing on guitar and all that, this is all just universal musical principles that are applicable to literally whatever it is that you feel like writing. Also, so the rhythm guitar parts changed a little bit here. Kind of got this arpeggio and then strumming the full chord, and then you got another guitar part that came in. So we got 3 more parts came in. One part disappeared, so now no more of that little single note guitar stuff going on in the back, but now we got this. Just literally strumming whole notes. It's not rocket science, but again, these little things like, oh, I didn't even notice it consciously, but now I hear, oh, this ooh came in. Oh, now I got this one guitar that's just strumming super simple part, literally strumming the chords in whole notes, while the other rhythm guitars are a bit more active still, playing arpeggios, filling in more space. This stuff can make a really, really big difference in your music, and then getting the ooh in there and then getting one extra vocal line. So don't think about it and try to be right, and then you'll see for yourself there's never a perfect time. It's cold. Okay, so then of course we didn't even point out that there hasn't been any drums the whole entire time. So we had the bass comes in the pre-chorus, and then finally we are, let me see here, how far are we into the song? We are 1 minute and 35 seconds in the song. We are like 2/3 of the way through the song probably. The song's like 4 minutes. Oh, I think it's 4 minutes and 20 seconds long. 420. But anyway, so finally the drums come in, and it's like, I love that because to me, they like really just smack you in the face. By the way, this is the only thing I didn't record myself on the song was the drums. My good friend Michael D'Angelo recorded the drums on this. You guys should check him out on Instagram. He's also got a really cool YouTube channel with the drum lessons and stuff. Yeah, he's amazing. He recorded like 3 different takes that all sounded great. It was like so hard to choose which was the one that I wanted to put on here. But this is definitely, it just smacks you in the face once those drums come, and it's like, okay, now this is a song. Now this thing's grooving. Really, the whole intro and the first verse and the pre-chorus and the chorus to me was like one gigantic like intro to the song, right? So coming in here, it's cold. Also, I like this little bass fill. just kind of meshing in with the drums. So now, finally, we got some different stuff going on here. So now we're going to get some more activity from the fills there in the background with the guitar. Let's see, actually. Yeah, there we go. Okay, it wasn't coming all the way, so... Yeah, so we got just little things like that filling in the spaces of the vocal line too. So some activity between the vocals. So all that time, notice how it wasn't just trying to fill everything in with that lead guitar. Also, let's listen to it back here actually. So that just came in right at the end of the chorus. So don't always make these changes that I'm talking about on a section by section basis too. You can change and add things in the middle of a section, and we're gonna see how I did some of that stuff in the bridge as well to make a section itself, even if it's only 8 or 16 bars, you can make that one section itself way more interesting by actually just changing some small things in the middle. And then finally, by the way, here we got that synth came back in. Again, now my whole goal here is I want the second verse, now that the drums came in, I want it to smack you in the face. Okay, the drums smack you in the face. Now you got more space being filled out with the harmonies of the synth. You got these lead fills going on. It's just building and building and building. And this is one of my goals too when I'm trying to make a song like this is you want there to be a nice arc where it's developing and developing and developing. And you know, I used to feel like, oh, if I want the thing to develop, I need to change the chord progression, or I need to change the melody or something. I need to change the notes. No, there's actually very few of that thing going on here. Changing notes. I mean, for the most part, the whole entire thing is like 2 chords, with the exception of at the end of the chorus. The end of the chorus, it goes. It finally changes chords to F sharp minor, and then it goes to A and B, and then C sharp minor, and then B over D sharp and E. There's only really chord changes there, and then on the bridge. So like 80 to 90% of the song is literally just the same chords over and over and over. But I felt like it was I was able to develop a lot of interest through other things in the arrangement. By the way, this is why too I find it interesting. A lot of people in the music community, like in my fellow jazz musicians and stuff, we kind of hate on like the pop world and all this stuff, whoever it happens to be, Justin Bieber or whoever it is you want to name, because they only use 2 or 3 chords in the song. Well, that's the thing about this kind of music, is that you're not trying to generate the interest from changing the chords and playing all the chord changes from giant steps or something like that. There's a lot of other things in music that we can change. We can change the dynamics. We can change the rhythm. We can change the arrangement. And that is, unless you're kind of working in this space of really actually producing something, I don't think that that's something we mind, or rather we pay enough mind to, is just the arrangement of what's going on. Okay, so anyway, let's keep going here. Again, by the way, look, check this out. You see that? That is vocal counters that I got rid of. So I realized I don't want to have the whole entire thing have harmonies with it. I realized I just want those specific spots of the lyrics to have a little bit more emphasis on that, powered by that counterline. Your life 'cause of what's in your head. So not all the time too, when you write harmonies, should you just be copying pasting the lead line, but down a third or down a fourth or whatever it happens to be. You can break it up and go, hey, just the end of each phrase, let me put a harmony there. And I felt like that worked a lot better. And then it makes it hit harder once they all start filling in and being sung the whole entire time. And then, of course, you got that little fill starts coming in. So more activity going on. Really nothing too much changed, actually, going to that second pre-chorus. Just more vocals came in. That's all. Nothing has to change, or rather, you don't have to have a million changes all the time. But you can tell also the drums change, by the way. I mean, I'd have to ask Michael his opinion on this, because he's the one that recorded it. But you know, there's a lot of things that you can do just by having the drummer change the part too. He does a lot of different subtle things that I don't want to get into right now. Changing like the way that he's hitting the snare. There's some like little ghost notes on the snare drum that like kind of weren't there before. There's a lot of different nuances that change, and sometimes that can just be the thing that changes. You don't have to add or subtract anything. The drum part can just be a little bit different than it was in the previous section. That can also be just as valid of a thing that we're talking about. By the way, let's isolate those rhythm guitars too. So now, obviously, they're a little bit more, I'd say, like Red Hot Chili Peppers-ish, like kind of just punchy sounding rhythm guitars, which is quite different from back here where it was just like a whole bunch of arpeggios, right? Right, we almost kind of forgot about that by now. You know, now those rhythm guitars are long gone. And now we got this punchy rhythm guitar that kind of makes it feel like a more fun song now. Before it was kind of more pensive, chill vibes. And now it's like, oh, okay, this is actually a fun, like, danceable song at this point to me. So. Waiting for tomorrow, even though it's minutes still your thoughts go away with all the time that you've been wasting. Not the whole entire time. You waited all your life just to say. You got you waited all your life, and then all of that starts hitting all at the same time, the vocals. So lots of trying to just have these little variations. Okay, let's continue. Do it and say what you want to say before they pass. 'Cause memories are the only thing that lasts. Yeah, all the thoughts that are running through your mind will take you. Okay, so lots of harmonies here going on, a lot more than were before, and actually now, so you got these more oohs. So remember the oohs from back here. Before they pass, 'cause memory. It's like a ooh and an ah, right? But now over here, very similar. There's an extra counter line from the first chorus that wasn't there. And then now there's an extra, let's actually just listen to those. I call those textures because they're not really counter lines. A counter line to me is pretty much mimicking the actual main line. So that just kind of unison them. It just makes it feel a little bit thicker. The other one in the first chorus was just one instance of it, but now I got two of them going on. And by the way, this is all, some mixing stuff here. This is all just getting sent to a bus that has a little bit EQ on it and has a reverb on it. Lots of reverb. That reverb is super duper important to really fill up that space and make it feel like this kind of spacey vibe to those oohs and ahs. I remember I didn't have those in there for a long time when I was working on the song, and as soon as I put those in there, I felt like it really took it to another level. So let's keep going. like even me, sometimes I forget the stuff that I put in there. What do we got with this rhythm guitar? So now just some higher arpeggio type of stuff. Can't even remember the exact part I played, but it would have definitely been something like. So I'm just playing. Let me actually now I'll put my guitar in the screen for you guys. So I'm just playing like a C sharp minor to B, like first inversion triad. Some kind of thing like that. Again, you don't even, I forgot about that part, but it sounds really cool when you just feel it in there. You feel like something changed, and it just makes you, to me, it makes me want to keep listening to the song. I used to, when I would write songs, I would just copy paste the same, like if it was the second chorus, like it was copy pasted from the first chorus. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be copy pasting stuff from the first chorus to the second chorus, but actually it's more of a neck pickup vibe. By the way, just a side note, I mean, probably 99% of the time, when I'm recording guitars that have a clean sound on them, I'm using the neck pickup. It just sounds a little bit more full. It sounds a little bit more warm. Anyway, so let's go ahead and continue there. Yeah, lots of stuff changing all the time, and you can see, by the way, this is why song took me a long time. I mean, I put a lot of thought into this, trying to get all these different things happening, so that it sounds legit, and I hope that it sounds legit. Oh, there's something else here. What's this? What you want to say before they with this other little rhythm guitar part that came in. So this is one of those things, by the way, like, I'll hear stuff like this on other recordings, and I'll be like, oh man, I need to try to like learn that part, and I'll think that that's one guitar playing that, but it's not one guitar. It kind of almost sounds like one guitar when you put it all together, but it's not one guitar. And then there's kind of, you can see there's a little bit of a panning difference. So that guitar panned 23 to the left, and then that little fill thing there is panned 25 to the right. So it really, I think it meshes together nicely. Okay, so let's keep going to the other. There's never a perfect time. There's never. Also, by the way, this is one of those things. When I was working on the MIDI, I was working on the MIDI drums for this, because I concocted all the drums and MIDI with this thing called Addictive Drums. By the way, it's a great drum plugin. It sounds really good. It does not sound as good as having a real drummer, real drums, but it's probably like the closest thing you could get. And I just could not think of anything good to get that transition to the bridge. But Michael killed it with that fill. And I thought it helped having a real bass too, because it really flows nicely. There's never a perfect time. So now, of course, completely different groove. Just completely different groove, especially from the bass. The bass is like now all of a sudden like super dun 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 dun. Whereas before it was like boom 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 dun 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 boom boom boom. And so now it's got this really eighth notey type of thing. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier, by the way. Remember I was talking about changing things within a section? So we got the bridge just started, and I remember I was like, man, I wanna go nuts with the vocals and the bridge. But right at the beginning, there's not that much vocal stuff going on. There's only 3 vocal parts. There's the lead vocal, and then there's 2 counter lines. But sorry, I gotta do all vocals. Perfect time for your life. And then all of a sudden, now look at all this stuff down here that comes in on the second 4 bars. Never perfect time to get it. So I thought, again, this is developing a little bit more on the motif that was set up in the first chorus and the second chorus. Notice that those oohs, they progress throughout the whole entire song. The first time you got ooh, it's 1 track. Then the second time you got the oohs, they're 2 tracks. And then now we got 4 tracks, and now it's more of a chord type of vibe. So now they're not only unison. You got actually they're actually just doublings. So if I just solo, for example, the first 2, I believe they should be the same note. And they are different takes, by the way. They're not the same take. I'm sure you could probably hear it. And then the second, and you add them together. And these, by the way, let me see here. Yeah, so the idea is that there's a unison and they're panned in each side. So you got these 2 are the same note. One's panned in the left, one's panned in the right. This one's panned on the right, and this one's panned in the left of the second note. But notice how, look, these 2 are panned 32 and 32. 32 and 33 left and right. And then these 2 are panned left and right, but not quite as much. So you got like 1, 2, 3, 4 all in a row, spreading through the stereo field, which also helps. The panning is a massive part, guys, of producing songs. Like, if you're just panning everything up the middle, and also, by the way, I think if you're just panning everything hard left and right, and you're not messing with that field that's in between, you're missing out on a lot of cool stuff you could be doing, especially with the vocals. So it makes it feel like this surround sound, almost like this IMAX, like just wall of vocals that's hitting you in the face. And this I just thought, gee, I got to change something. I cut out that second note just for 2 bars right here. So let's listen to that. And then when that second one comes in again, and by the way, it changed the part a little bit. So it's not the same. You notice that second note gets lower. Whereas here it goes, ooh, and then this one goes, ooh. So it's kind of the same vibe. It's like this ooh thing, but the parts are changing. It's not the exact same line over and over. It almost, I mean, even though I'm the one that wrote it and recorded and all this stuff, and I'm breaking it down to you, I forget about this stuff. Like, I can't even remember every single detail of what I did in the song. So it's kind of fun for me actually doing this too, because I'm like rediscovering some of the stuff that I did on here that I haven't necessarily thought about in a while. And then this is just a guitar. It's super low in the mix. Like if I unsolo, but I think it just fattens up the melody. It's actually pretty much copying the melody. I even made a mistake there, actually. I made a mistake there and I left it in because you can't hear it. You know, this, I think I just ripped through it in like one take and I left some of the mistakes there. But to me, I think that these things, you know, they kind of add up in there. But that's kind of funny. I flubbed a note there, and I didn't even bother to go back and fix it or anything. I mean, does it make that much of a difference? I don't know. I don't think so. I didn't even notice it until I soloed it. So I don't see how anybody else is going to notice it. So why are you still waiting for... Okay, so here's another thing that I started doing recently. So at this point, pretty much the bridge is like the climax of the song. I mean, the drums are riding the crash cymbal. There's tons of cymbals, tons of vocals. It's built up a lot to this point. But one last time, we don't just want it to continue building and building and building and building and building, because even that actually is boring and predictable, right? If I know it's going to continue building over and over, no matter what, well, then I'm able to predict what's happening. And that's one of the things that I want you guys to think about when you're writing music too, is not making it predictable, okay? So, and of course, I certainly didn't invent this. Lots of other great songs do this all the time, and you start really listening for it. You can be like, oh yeah, I hear that all the time. Now we got a breakdown. So now, like, that exact same sort of material from the pre-chorus, hey, let's go back to the pre-chorus, but look, now pretty much the drums are going to disappear. Everything's going to break down for a second, and then it's going to build back up to even bigger than it ever was before. I feel like music is kind of like life almost. You know, sometimes, you know, whatever. Let's say you're running and then you get injured and you have to stop, and then it breaks down. Everything's ruined. But then, you know, you learn things and then you build back up and you come back better than you ever were before. So in that way, I think an interesting song does kind of mimic some of the themes that you hear in life. But so the drums are going to disappear. We're going to build back up. But like I said, a lot of stuff disappeared, but some stuff comes in. This little thing here is going to come in that we haven't heard before. Look how much almost creepy that sounds when it's by itself. So you don't even really, again, you don't really perceive this stuff. And it's just, you can see there from the MIDI notes, this is actually just some random synth on Logic. Like, I was just like, I want to find a cool synth sound. And I just messed around going through the library and found this cool synth sound, and I liked it. And I didn't really tweak it much. A lot of these synth sounds actually are just really presets from Logic. They're not anything too crazy. But anyway, so that comes in, and then back with the synth stuff that we heard earlier in the song. So that had all disappeared, by the way. I didn't even mention that had all disappeared from the bridge. I didn't really need it in the bridge. To me, in the bridge, this stuff right here, all the oohs and all the vocal textures, pretty much serving the same purpose as those synths were. So why do I need synths? Like, it can become overwhelming too. You don't want to shove too much stuff in there, or else it just sounds like a load of clutter. So you do want to avoid that as well. But this is nice because these little synths, they fill in the space when there's less, when there's way more space to be had. And now all of a sudden there's all this space from the bass even is going to disappear. No bass anymore. Even though you don't want to necessarily be getting pounded in the face with bass the whole entire song. Your ears kind of need a break from that. So I feel like this is a nice little break. And it's a pretty short-lived break. Okay. All right, I think we're good now, right? We're all good? Okay, cool. Sorry about that. It's kind of, man, there's doing all this stuff, streaming and having this going on. I mean, I got a good computer. I got this M1 MacBook Pro, but it's definitely still, it's intensive. So sometimes wacky stuff happens, but luckily it didn't shut down the entire stream or something like that. That's, as long as that doesn't happen, we're good. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, by the way, again, look, another instance where there was actually a vocal counter there that I took out because I was like, you know what? It's not breaking down enough if I leave that in there. And then, of course, these rhythm guitars simplified. Okay. That's seems better. Sometimes, by the way, I mean, I don't know. I haven't used Pro Tools in a long time, but if somebody uses Pro Tools, you could comment on what what your experience is with that. But sometimes Logic just glitches too. So I apologize for that, but I think now it's better. I'm actually amazed. We're almost at the end of the song. I'm amazed that it's taken this long for something like that to go wrong. So even though it's sad, all right, still your heart goes away with all the time that you. So now the drums slowly start building back in that second those second 4 bars. The drums just finally start coming back in, and the bass is about to come back in. The drums had come back in before the bass, but notice how only the cymbals are kind of in right now. Time that you've been wasting, you waited all your life. Bass, boom! That bass just smacked you right in the face right there. All your life just to say it, so let it out and say what you want to say before they pass. 'Cause memories are the only thing that lasts. That fix it? I think that may have fixed it. There's all kinds of little settings I gotta play with. I think that fixed it. Let's hurry up and finish this so that no stuff stops going wrong. Okay, so maybe this helps it. Yeah, anytime I like change something, it fixes it, and then it goes and then it comes back. It's like some kind of disease, like it's some logic disease that keeps coming back. Can you guys hear that crackling, or do you just think I'm nuts? I think you should be able to hear it. I think whatever I'm hearing, you should be able to hear. Okay. Let's see if we can finish this. It seems like every time I play it too, something happens. Okay, so yeah, the last chorus is basically just now we're throwing everything but the kitchen sink in there. So now all the same stuff, like from the bridge, these crazy vocal stacks with the oohs, we brought them back in, and now they're way thicker than they ever were, right? So they did happen in the chorus before First time it was one voice. Second time it was two voices there. And now we got the chord going on and we got four voices just like we had in the bridge, okay? And we still got the same number of counter lines, didn't really add any counter lines, but let's listen to all the vocals really quick. Say what you want to say before they pass, 'cause memory. Now the vocals, those counter lines, say what you want to say before they pass. Now they're really high up, and they're a lot higher up than, for example, here. All the thoughts that are running through your mind. Rather, actually, that high counter line was in there, actually. But there's another lower counter line that's not in there. All the thoughts that are... These are actually... Is that unison? Did I do a unison there? Let's listen to that. Running through your mind. Yeah, okay, that's what it was. I decided that I wanted that high counter line, and I just wanted to put it in unison. Whereas here, actually... So in that way, there's actually some simplification going on here. You want to say before they pass. There's this really high counter line there that I had forgotten about. that sounds cool. I could have put it in the end, but I didn't. I didn't feel like it. But now, I think the most obvious thing is the drums. Look at how hard those drums. And the bass line too. The bass line's completely different. Dun 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 dun. Kind of similar vibe from the bridge. So you see a lot of the themes that had just come up in the bridge for the first time. Now they're coming into the chorus, this last chorus where now everything's peaking. I want everything to peak. This is the part, if I make a short post and I'm showing people a little bit of the song, this is the part that I show a lot of times, or the bridge. To me, those are like my two favorite parts of the song, is the bridge and this last chorus here. And a very similar, also you can hear that little now it's just kind of random. That's actually just randomly improvised. I just improvised all it, just a non-stop chain of eighth notes with that kind of vibe on it. And there's another similar part there. So lots of guitar stuff going on now too. I of course, I'm a guitar player, so I like to really dial it up on the guitar. So this is the most guitar stuff that we pretty much have the whole entire song too. So we got the craziest drums, we have the most vocals, and we have the most guitar layers going on. Let's listen to all the guitar layers solo. Even there, this thing almost gets lost. But again, it's not about each part individually. It's about how do they all stack up and what kind of vibe do they make when they're all put together. So now there isn't a flagrant guitar solo in this song. I know it's probably kind of crazy for those of you who probably know me from my lessons on soloing that there isn't really a guitar solo in there, but there is a solo. It's just underneath the vocals. Right here. And now you just gotta basically the end of the song is the same thing as the chorus, the same chords that happen at the end, but there's this part where the F sharp minor gets played. I'm just gonna use my acoustic guitar. How does that sound? Can you guys hear this? Yeah, I'm just using my acoustic guitar for right now. It's not probably gonna sound quite as good, but just to keep things simple here, let's go ahead and bring the camera back up. So there's like and then this kind of thing comes keeps coming. So All I did was just actually extend that F sharp minor chord a bit. So, and then you'll see for yourself. Ooh, you'll see for yourself. Oh no, there's never a perfect time. This chord, this is a really cool chord here. It's a B chord, but it's in first inversion. It's D sharp in the bass. So that's 6th fret of the 5th string, 4th fret of the 4th, 4th fret of the 3rd, and then the pinky's on the 7th fret of the 2nd string. Cool shape for you guitar players out there to remember, but this is some songwriting stuff, just extending what was there. I was like, should I write something new there? But no, you don't need, I didn't need to write anything new. I just need to sort of slightly tweak what I already had, right? Just extending that F sharp minor by a few bars, which normally was only like 1 bar long in the other parts of the song. Like, let's go back just to like the second chorus, for example. That's the F sharp minor chord there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C sharp minor, B over D sharp, E, and then B over D sharp, right? So there it only happens for 1 bar, but now when it got to there, sorry, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. So now instead of 1 bar, that F sharp minor went for 4 bars. So it right at that point, it's kind of, you see that's marked there in the session. That's the outro. And of course that solo came in, which, you know, that solo really helps things just build up a little bit more. No more oohs and stuff, because now I feel like it's just we're getting ready to wrap up, and now it is winding down a bit, although not winding down too much. Oh no, there's never a perfect time. And just more extension. No new lyrics. There's never a perfect time. Extending it with like a little vocal run. The melody's a little bit different. You haven't heard that before yet in the song. And then just tagging and doing one more repeat. Oh no, there's never a perfect time. Yeah, and so it's just repeating the same stuff, extending a little bit at the end of the song. But I hope that this is given some insight for those of you who are working on your own stuff. You know, I hope it's giving you some ideas at least for things to maybe to implement in your music. By the way, I really like the guitars here. Some arpeggios, some strumming. And just make sure that you end it on a chord tone. That what's the ending note there on the end on the solo at the end? That's just an E. It just ended on an E, which is of course the last chord's an E, and I ended on a high E, 12th fret of the 1st string. So. Yeah, lots of chord tone stuff. All, by the way, I mean, you know, you could dig deep here even into all the stuff, the melody line and so on and so forth. Melody line's a lot of chord tones. Also some pentatonic stuff. But you know, when I'm trying to write something to sing, I try to just not think so much about that. I kind of hear it more. But I'm so familiar from practicing chord tones and stuff like that on guitar. It's easy for me to hear that stuff kind of naturally. And I think a lot of people too, even if they don't know about it, when it comes to singing things, they really, you're just going to hear chord tones. Like those are the things that are going to sound the best because they fit with the chords. But anyway, so, wow, we've been going for a long time. This has got to be one of the longest streams that I've ever done. Didn't help that I had those technical issues. I had another issue that I had to work out. That's why it took me a little bit longer to, I started the stream a little bit late. I had to figure out how to be able to get my voice to still come through even when I'm soloing stuff, which ended up being easy to deal with. Let me know, by the way, if you want me to show you how to record videos and stream like I'm doing here on the channel. I think that there's a lot of people who would be able to use that information. This setup that I have is it's allowed me to do so many different things with the channel that just make it way more fun to record videos. I remember I used to record videos like with 2 cameras and then, sync up all the audio and all the stuff. And now this setup, I'll just tell you really quick, I'm using OBS, and then I just have my audio. Everything that you're hearing is going through Logic and it's going into OBS. And it's really cool because you can stream like this, and then when you want to record videos, you don't have to spend anywhere near as much time just doing like mundane stuff like syncing it up in the editor and so on and so forth. But anyway, enough yapping from me. Go listen to the song. It's linked right there in the chat. It's going to be linked in all my videos from now on that I upload in all my lessons. Let's see if we can get it to 100 plays. It's got like 30 something plays. Not that popular yet. Maybe one day I'll be able to get 100 plays on the first day I release a song. But let's get the thing up to 100 plays. Go listen to it on whatever streaming service you want. That link will give you a bunch of different options: YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify. And yeah, also if you want to learn how to master the guitar fretboard, by the way, make sure you go to the link in the description and go to jamsville.com and get yourself the Jamsville GPS Fretboard Fundamentals course. And of course, support your own guitar playing by leveling up your knowledge of the fretboard, and also help support the channel and support me making these videos, and help me be able to make more music so we can do more stuff like this. And yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And until next time.